Hi, Leathur Rokk here. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time visiting my channel, you probably want to subscribe so you don't miss the new videos I post 3 times a week. Sometimes it's about cats, sometimes it's beauty stuff. Occasionally I delve into the political realm. I may do gardening, I do all kinds of stuff, and I know there's something you're going to like. So what we're going to do today is a twofer, maybe even a threefer, as Tabby Boy leaves my room. As you can see now, I finally started applying the bleach solution to my hair. I started it so that I wouldn't make this video last forever, because I imagine you guys have other things in your lives besides just watching me bleach my roots, but it's really something that needs to be done because I'm tired of how faded my hair is, and I really need to get on with that. So, if you don't already know the process for bleaching a person's hair, it involves peroxide, and one of the products that I'm using is called the L'Oreal Quick Blue, and it comes in a big tub. It has 16 full ounces, a pound of powder, and what you do is you get a scoop kind of like this. This is not the original scoop that it came from. I actually had to use a scoop from those crystals that you use to intensify, like to do stain cleaning when you're doing hand laundry, which is the only kind of laundry I really do, is by hand. So since I could not find the original scoop that went into the bleach, I used this. And what it is you use 1 scoop to 1.5 ounces of your peroxide. And this is my measuring cup. And back in the day, I used to use 20 volume peroxide, but about 10 years ago, I switched to 30 volume peroxide because it is a faster timing. And I am, if you didn't already know, I am a natural redhead. And red hair has more sulfur in it. And red hair actually takes longer to bleach down to the pale lemon yellow shade than even darker hair goes. So a 30 volume peroxide is actually a bit more suitable as long as you do your parting fast. That's the only thing, is when you do a fast peroxide like this, you really need to go quick with your the rows that you make, the parting. I usually use a finger. You can use a comb too, as long as you only use plastic, because metal does not work with these chemicals. I have beauty school training, so anything that I tell you on my channels, I do have some education to back up what I do. I have been bleaching my own hair since I was 15 years old. I also cut and color people's hair on the side. I cut and color my mother's hair. I dye her hair also. I don't bleach it first. I did do a pre-bleaching one time to try to even out, because she does have some white in her hair, and she does have some gray in her hair naturally. And if you pre-lighten the gray areas, it actually gives it all over a more even color. But the thing is, it takes longer because it's an additional process. And I did that to my mother once, and she was not willing to go through the extra time involved. So as a result, when I dye her hair, and she insists on using this nice and easy, and that tends to shut off after a certain amount of time, even if it hasn't covered the grays already. Now, the one thing I can honestly say is, you see how big my roots are? I still don't have any gray. And when you let your roots grow out to here, you can definitely tell. So now I'm doing one thing that you normally should not do, and I would not advise. You're supposed to wear rubber gloves when you do this, but I chose not to because it had been a while since I bought this bleach, this peroxide, and I wanted to make sure that it was still good. And usually all you have to do is shake it and put a little bit on your finger. And if it burns a little bit and it makes your finger look all white and bubbly, then you know your peroxide is still fresh. I did not do that. I just mix it and hope for the best, but I do feel a little tiny bit of a tingle on my scalp, so I know the peroxide's still good. But I sure as hell did not feel like going all the way down to the beauty supply, which is quite a long walk away. I can walk it, but it's like, I'm guessing 5 or 6 miles. And that's one-way walk. So, and it's a little chilly for doing long walks like that, even though I am a walker. And it's not just because it's good exercise, but when you walk, you don't have to pay bus fare. So this is what's left of my bleach. And I'm going to try to do the rest of this while I'm talking to you. And as you can see here, I have a mirror that I stuck on here. But I do like to have a handheld mirror. So I'm going to try to talk to you while doing this and hopefully not get any of this in my eye because that would really suck. Now, one thing that I usually do when I'm doing my roots, and I didn't do at first for this because I didn't want it to have that look when I first went on camera. But usually what I do is I do the perimeter of my hair first. And by perimeter, I mean, and I actually started with the back of my head this time. If you'll notice how I have peroxide, I have some bleach solution already on, and I did this, and I had to do it kind of blind because I don't have a three-way mirror. When I was growing up, my family had a medicine cabinet that had a three-way mirror, so you could easily see the back of your head. So when I first started bleaching my hair blonde back in high school, I was able to see the back of my head because my mother refused to help me at first because I had to sneak it at first. And I remember my mother's first words were, if you're going to do that, don't blame me if your hair falls out. And my hair didn't, but still, she made it clear that she was not going to help me. And matter of fact, she didn't help me until after I graduated high school, partly because my father's grandmother apparently had strawberry blonde red hair, and my getting rid of my red hair kind of bothered my father. So I knew that my mother didn't want to do anything that would seem like she was going against my father's sentiment. So it was just like when I first got my ears pierced. I was 15 years old. I snuck to do that too. So I hope you can still hear me while I go to this mirror so I can see what the heck I'm doing. Yes, this peroxide is still good because I could see it starting to work already. I'm just so tired of this faded hair. It really embarrasses me when I look and I see it. And if the light's really bright, my hair still looks good. But if there's not a lot of light on my hair just looks really faded, and I'm getting sick of it, you know? One thing you have to always be careful about whenever you're bleaching your roots is you really don't want to overlap onto the pre-bleached areas. And of course, when I'm talking to you, I'm trying to make sure that you can see what I'm doing and that I'm not being careless, because the last thing I want to do is break off my hair. I'm very proud of the length that I have achieved. Some parts of my hair are longer than waist length. I don't cut my hair anymore. I don't know if I ever told the story on YouTube about why, but I made the mistake of trusting somebody at a beauty salon in Hollywood, California, the first year I was out there, and I went to a school to save money. And long story short, the student kept recutting the guideline, which is something that many students, when you're learning to cut hair, they have a guideline that helps them to know where they cut their hair and how, if they're doing layers or whatever, so they know what they're doing. But this student kept recutting and recutting and recutting and cut 6 inches off the length of my hair. And I was very, very, very upset about this, as anybody would. And of course, when you go to any beauty school to get student services, they make you sign a waiver so that if you're not happy, you can't sue them. So, and of course, I was ready to trust a beauty school student because I was a beauty school student myself. And guess what? I have a reason to believe that the student was probably jealous because my hair was very long, but there wasn't anything I could do about it. And ever since then, I have not trusted anybody to cut my hair except my mother. I let her trim my hair sometimes. And I had one on-again, off-again boyfriend who was a part-time porn star, and he also cut hair, and I think he still does hair in Los Angeles. And if he's watching this, hi. So, yeah, ever since then, I've been very, very, very protective of my hair. And so far, so good. Oh, what do you think of the makeup I'm wearing? If I wanted to, I could even do a threefer, and I could do a makeup tutorial, but I don't think I should because I don't want to press my luck. But if you are curious, the eyeshadow that I'm wearing is from this Too Faced palette that I've been working on, and the color on my eyes is called Pixie Dust, and that's this real pale metallic green on the left. So, oh, and a tiny little bit of Lost Boys, which is the dark green, and that's just in the corner. But I better not touch my eyes with this because it'll burn, and there's a chance I could go blind, and I don't want to do that. So, back to my hair. Oh, one advantage of using bare hands instead of rubber gloves is you can really feel if your scalp is wet, which means the dye or the bleach solution is on it. And if your scalp is dry, then obviously it needs some. Now, you can't do this if you're actually applying dye, because the dye will absolutely stain your hands. And it seems to me that a lot of these dyes are better at dyeing your skin than they are even at your hair. So, you really do have to be careful. Now, there's actually some other things that I wanted to talk to you about while I had your attention. If you notice what I'm wearing, first of all, look at the back. Do you see what it says? If I'm in frame, and I really can't see the frame, it says role player. Where this shirt is from, was it 2005 or 2006? I don't remember. In Atlantic City, New Jersey, there was, and also in Canada, and in different locations in the United Kingdom, we had something called the Top Off 3 Homeland Security exercises. And here in Atlantic City, they were held at the Atlantic City Convention Hall, which is now called actually the Boardwalk Hall. And what these were, what I participated in, is I was a role player pretending to be a patient, a victim of an anthrax attack. And my parents also participated in this. And it was to test our emergency management system and all the first responders and everything to see how efficient and quickly they could respond to mass casualties. And I don't know that it got a whole lot of press. As a matter of fact, most of the people who knew about this were people involved in Boy Scouting movement. At the time, my mother trained Boy Scout trainers. So my mother did that for many years. Before that, she was a Boy Scout den mother. And this was back when I was in junior high and then in high school. And when I could, I was her assistant. I went to many scout shows. You got similar gratification that you would if you were a school teacher. And my mother was a school teacher, high school English, before she had married my father and had me. So I come from kind of a scholastic background, and my father being a veteran of the Korean War, I was raised with a love of country, love of my flag, love of service. So it's only natural that my family and I got to participate in this. And when I was looking for white clothes to wear to bleach my roots, because I always prefer to wear white, that way I can't damage my clothes, and I dug out this shirt, I said, oh, I bet I hadn't told you guys about my experience doing that. So it was really, and the Atlantic City Press was there and they covered it, and I was actually looking through one of my photo albums hoping that I could find a newspaper clipping I would have shown you. But I have a feeling it's in the bucket of files where Cassie's sleeping on her little bed. And if I tilt this, you could see where Cassie is. The files are somewhere in here. But she's asleep. I don't have the heart to disturb her. Now, I got to be careful here because remember I said you can't get bleach overlapping. And I really don't want that hair to break off. So I don't want to be so distracted talking to you guys that I neglect my hair. You know what? I thought that I had mixed more than enough bleach solution for my hair. It looks like I'm going to need more. Now, usually when this happens, I don't measure anymore. I just pour some peroxide onto the in the bowl. Then it's important to put the cap on because this stuff, these bubbles will escape and it'll go flat, just like soda goes flat. And you know how flat soda is no fun to drink because it lost its carbonation? Well, if the bubbles are gone from the peroxide, it's not going to work anymore. And then you just wasted the chemicals that you paid for. Now, I'm moving these things away from that area because that's where the food and water bowls are. And you don't want to poison your pet's food. So I'm going to, I figure I put about 2 ounces of water in here. And the directions for these are, each one of these scoops is supposed to go in like 1.5 ounces of water. I mean, not water, peroxide. So I'm going to mix this using my plastic and my glass. And hopefully this will be enough for the rest of my unbleached hair. You know, I've been doing this so long, I feel like I could do it in my sleep. But even though I've been doing this a long time, there's a part of me that gets nervous every single time I do this. Every single time I do this, I worry about overlapping bleach and having breakage. And I almost always make sure that I have at least one roommate who's still awake so that I can go in their room and ask them to look at the back of my hair, the spots that I can't see, the spots that even I can't see in a mirror, just to make sure that I didn't miss a spot. Now, you also want to make sure that there's no lumps. And that's another great thing about sticking your bare hand here, is you can crush any lumps out. And this is a good, fairly no dust formula. It's not like, you know how kitty litter, when a cat digs in the litter box, they dust up, and you get all this dust along with the clay. Well, peroxide-based hair bleach can do that too. So, hi Cassie. Boy, I really let longer and longer times go in between me doing my hair. I'm telling you, this is something that I'm doing in New Jersey. If I was in the state of California, I would never let my hair go this long in between doing it. First of all, I tend to be working much more steadily in different showbiz things when I'm in Los Angeles. I'm always in Los Angeles. I'm always working on movie sets. I'm always working on TV sets. And by movies, I do mean major motion pictures. And because of continuity, you absolutely have to and are expected to keep a consistent hair color so that if you start working on a production, you look the same in the beginning as you do in the end. And a lot of times the movies, they do shoot the end first. And that's because of the principals and because of insurance. That way, if something happens that one of the principals dies, they can still do the movie. Because you can imagine there's a lot of insurance liabilities on movies, and they want to make sure all the investors, the people that put their money in these projects, they want to make sure that they get the return on their investment. So, very important. This is starting to dry, so I may need to end up dumping peroxide on my hair for the rest of my timing. And I noticed another thing that I always seem to do. I'm always afraid of leaving the peroxide on a little too long and there being breakage. And yet I always seem to be leaving it on longer and longer. And yet when I do finally rinse the bleach out, I find that I could have left it on longer because my hair still seems like it has a little tiny bit of brassiness at the roots. And I really want it to be as platinum as possible, even though I'm going to cover the damn thing with purple dye anyway. one thing, I have plenty of purple dye here, so I didn't need to make an extra trip to a beauty supply place. When it's chilly out, do you feel like going making all those trips, you know? You know, this is probably one time when I'm not going to be able to ask a roommate to spot me in the back because I'm not very well going to bring this into her room. She's won't appreciate that, and I'm not going to interrupt this video to do it. And since I don't have editing skills, I can't very well stop it and start it all over again. I just don't have the technical ability, and I don't have local editors here that I could just give them a couple of chores to do, and I really don't feel like paying a crew. So all I end up doing is hoping for the best. You know what, this is starting to dry out, so I'm going to pour some more peroxide into this. You know what, I think I'm just going to dump the peroxide into this, and I'm just going to mix this up. I know this probably seems so disorganized and like I don't know what I'm doing, but trust me, I've been doing this so long. You know, and I think my hair must be in pretty good condition. I mean, I'm sure I got some split ends and stuff, but I try to I try to kid glove it. I really do. I mean, I don't heat style it as much as I used to. And like, I would like to be teasing it up all the time. I would like to be crimping it and stuff, but for the amount of times that I go out, I think I maintain myself probably more for YouTube than I do for my real life public appearances out here, just because I feel like my YouTube community is like a family to me. When you people who watch me allow me into your homes or your jobs or wherever it is that you watch me, I am very honored and I'm very humbled because I know that we only have so many hours every day, and you have a choice of where you can spend your time. And the fact that you are willing to spend your time with me just, it touches my heart, you know? So, and I want to respect your time. So I hope that I'm giving you something of value here. And I would like to be more elaborate with my hair more frequently, but sometimes locally I don't always feel that it's appreciated. I mean, some places, yes, I do feel the love. Like, I'll give a shout out to the Golden Nugget Hotel Casino. That is a really, really special place. I thoroughly enjoy my experiences there. The people that go there are really great. And there are some other places that I also enjoy. But as far as, you know, I'm putting 3 new videos out a week. And one thing now, if I do tease up my hair again, that should be good for like a good 2 weeks, so I could get a lot of videos out of it. And of course, I can braid my hair again, and that is really great. And of course, that's a lot of work too. But it's better to braid your hair when it's freshly dyed. And every time I finally do my hair again, then I'm thinking, oh, I can braid it again. Or then I might think, oh, I could tease it up again. There's so many options. But at least now I'm finally doing my roots. But anyway, now you know the story about the top off 3 exercises in this shirt. And I don't know how many people still have these shirts, but not too many people even know what this is. But every year in Atlantic City, we have the Atlantic City Air Show, and that attracts Secret Service people, and it attracts all kinds of military, current military, former military, all kinds of veterans. My father was one of my father's favorite local activities because he got to see lots of his fellow veterans and stuff. So people like that crowd, many of them would know what this shirt represented, but most people don't know what it is, and I don't know if they had more top-off exercises. Maybe you guys who are watching this can tell me. Oh, what does it look like in the back? Can you tell if it started to take or not? I'm always afraid that I'm missing spots. No, I really shouldn't do it near the food bowls for those cats. I wonder if someday in the future we'll be able to dye our hairs through taking a pill or getting a shot or something. I mean, imagine how convenient it would be that you wouldn't have to go to a salon. You could just take a pill or just give yourself an injection and it would color your roots. Of course, what if you wanted one color here and one color here? Then, of course, maybe that would be problematic. Then you couldn't take a pill. Then maybe you would have to give localized injections. But that would be a lot easier than going through all of this. Because as much as I love putting on the glam and doing the image thing, and I love being in control of my own image, I would never be the kind of person, no matter how successful I get in life, I can never see myself allowing myself to have or be assigned a stylist, especially a stylist who's younger than myself, who thinks that they know me and my market better than myself. I am a bit of a control freak in that I have a vision for what attractiveness is to me, what I want for myself. I have my standards, like I guess anybody does, and I don't think I would be willing to relinquish control to another person. And I'm the kind of person that when I have been asked to take wardrobe onto auditions and things, I have brought piles and piles of clothes, wardrobe bags full of clothes, bags of shoes and boots, and I'm the accessory queen. You've seen my stud belts, you've seen my bracelets and my earrings and all that stuff. And granted, most of my accessories are really inexpensive, but still, I don't think that's a bad thing. And some of these accessories that I've gotten, even at the dollar store, look very much on par with $100 and $1,000 designer pieces that I see in the fashion magazines. And I have piles and piles of fashion magazines of all kinds floating around the house because I can get them free there's different companies that you do silly little brief surveys and you get magazines. And maybe sometime I will do a video on some of these ways that I have devised and learned through the years for getting things for free and for saving money. Because if there's one thing I'm good at, besides this showbiz stuff and this beauty stuff, is I'm good at saving money. It's a skill that my mom and dad taught me from the time I was knee-high to a grasshopper. And it's something that I've committed myself to a lifestyle of living beneath my means. And it's something that I hope, no matter how successful I get in life, I hope I still continue to do this so that I will have more resources to do things with. And the more resources I have, then let's face it, not only will I be able to take care of myself and those that I love, but I will have more to be able to help other people with. And I think that is what most of us want to do, is we don't want to just be selfish, but we want to be able to do things to make the world a better place and to help things outside ourselves and help people besides the people that we know and our friends, even though, yes, I want to help my friends. I want to help homeless people. I want to help homeless animals. I would like to operate shelters for my homeless friends, and I would like to have a cat sanctuary. And there's these different things that I would like to do that would definitely help to make the world a better place. So, but just so long as I can maintain control of my own image while I'm doing it, because that's a control freak in me. And then as I work on my musical projects and everything, and I want to have as few hands in them as possible so that I can have it all as purely coming from myself as possible. And I don't think that there's anything bad in that. Let me check to see how this is coming here. Oh, boy. I hope it's not going to be too hard for you to hear me through this. As I'm recording this, it's 1:21 in the morning. It's a Friday night, and there is a fair amount of noise out my window. Now, earlier today, some interesting things happened on our street. I noticed there was a whole lot of police cars out my window, and, well, then I realized that I hadn't checked my mail, so I went outside to my mailbox to check. And I noticed that there is a police officer in riot gear. There is right outside my front door, there is a little alleyway, and unfortunately the alley attracts a lot of miscreancy. People use it as a public restroom. People use it to shoot up drugs. People use it to smoke crack. People have sold heroin. People have committed acts of prostitution. There's been urine, there's been feces, there has been blood, there has been broken needles, there's been broken crack pipes, there's been all manner of junk there. And apparently somebody either killed somebody or somebody OD'd or something. There was a dead body found. I saw yellow police tape. I saw 3 or 4 cop cars. I was so stunned. I mean, I wasn't really stunned because, frankly, nothing surprises me much about this neighborhood anymore. But I wanted to mind my own business. I didn't want to seem like, I didn't want to be thought of as guilty. Not that I think that there is any reason for that, but still, I didn't want him to be asking me any questions, so I just went right in the house. But I told the people that I live with, and then when my roommate came home from work, he had seen the police tape that was still there and proceeded to tell my other roommate about it. But then a couple hours later, I went out to check, and because police cars were here for quite a long time, and there must have been a drug dog too, because he was barking and barking and barking and barking and barking. But then somebody got some soapy water, and they washed out the alley, and they took down the tape, and now there is no evidence that there was this thing that happened. Another thing that happened last week, and as a matter of fact, this may have happened during one of my filmings also. I heard a sound that sounded like somebody threw a bunch of firecrackers in the distance, which is not an uncommon thing to hear, even though this is nowhere near the 4th of July. But apparently those weren't firecrackers. Apparently those were gunshots. And I know that there are periodically throughout the city, and probably this must be a commonplace thing, there are devices which apparently the police department uses to be able to hear sounds of gunshots, and I guess they can tell one sound from another, and then they dispatch cops automatically to the area. And I'm seeing them more and more, which doesn't surprise me any. And I support the men in blue, the men and women, shall I say. Matter of fact, I know I have some local police that are watching me, and you know who you are, and hello. So I'm all for anything that makes their jobs easier so that they can serve and protect us, especially considering that I live in the state of New Jersey that allows for no self-defense, and by self-defense I mean you cannot carry a gun unless you're a cop, which means that we civilians need to rely on the police to protect us. And until such time as I can move to an NRA-friendly state, that's the way it has to be. So, yes, I definitely support my police. And we got some really groovy ones here in the city. So, I hope that I have covered this. I am not going to let this video run so long till the time that I'm ready to do my timing, because I don't know, I probably still have a few minutes left. And like I said, I don't want you guys to be bored. So, but this is my bleaching process, and I am finally going to have my hair back to normal pretty soon. Now, I don't know whether I'm going to go ahead like the last time I did this. I walked around with bleached roots for a week first, just because I kind of like the look, and then I dyed my hair again. I might do this or I may go ahead and put the purple in tomorrow. I honestly don't know what I'm going to do. But anyway, I hope you were entertained, because if you're not entertained, then I'll feel like I didn't do my job. So, if you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, give it a thumbs down. Tell YouTube you think it sucks. And YouTube won't take it personally, because it's engagement either way. But if you do subscribe, and I really hope you do, be sure to hit that bell. And I understand there's two things you can do. One is so you only get some of my posts, but you do want to hit the bell so that you get everything I post. Because I post 3 new videos a week, and I know there's going to be something that you're going to find entertaining. And if you like it, tell a friend. And I hope to see you next time with my white roots, and actually, or it might be purple. Who knows? Actually, no, I think I'm going to do a separate video about the purple dye too. So, hope to see you soon. Bye.